Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
The state government is resisting calls to close Ashley, saying it's the only suitable option while an alternative therapeutic model is developed. But child safety advocates say there are a number of options, with the Commission of Inquiry evidence too loud to ignore.
7 days of shocking stories at the Commission of Inquiry, and the calls to shut Ashley are only getting louder.
We're knowingly keeping children in really inhumane conditions.
The state government has plans to transition to a new therapeutic care model in 2024.
If we could close Ashley sooner, we would, and of course we would welcome advice from various quarters to see how that might be possible.
Child safety advocates claim Ashley could be shut immediately, with individual solutions put in place for detainees.
Therapeutic services, counselling services. It would include possibly caring support, alternative placements, and these can be provided on an urgent basis.
Arguing the danger to these children inside Ashley is far greater than the risk posed to the community by letting them out.
One of the suggestions put to the Premier has been all they would really need is a glazier and a locksmith to fit out a house to keep the one resident on a detention order.
Heard at the Commission, 10 of the 11 current detainees are being held on remand.
If the issue is that they don't have accommodation to be placed in, I mean, the Department of Communities should probably be looking at that and doing something about that.
Both Jack and Sebastian have been blocked by the Liberal government's Twitter page, having been vocal critics of Ashley's handling.
In a healthy democracy, calling out government, making criticisms is a valid part of exercising your social rights, your democratic rights.
The state government was contacted for comment on why advocates were being blocked. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Both sides of government have defended the role of MPs in reforming the workplace culture inside Parliament House. Anti-Discrimination Commissioner Sarah Bolt found parliamentarians were amongst the worst offenders in a toxic workplace with high levels of bullying, discrimination and sexual harassment.
And I think it is reasonable for those parliamentarians and all of us to be taking responsibility.
And so it's appropriate that we take collective responsibility. That's why we will establish a Joint House Select Committee.
Establishing a human resources unit and complaints reporting framework are among the 14 recommendations made. The state's road toll has risen again. 32-year-old Jacob Mullins died at the scene when he lost control of his motorcycle. The incident on Lilydale Road at Rochalee happened around 8:30 last night. Police have not ruled out speed, alcohol and drugs as factors in the crash. Authorities growing frustrated with the rising road toll.
All our police across our organisation are focusing on road safety, but it goes both ways. We need you also to take responsibilities as drivers and riders to understand how your behaviour impacts both yourself and others within the community.
There have been 40 fatalities on Tasmanian roads this year, the highest in a decade, including 9 motorcyclists. A Tasmanian man who shot and dismembered his friend in the state's north back in 2018 has had his sentence appeal dismissed by 3 Supreme Court judges. Each member concluded Jack Sadler's sentence and parole period were not manifestly excessive. Sadler will be eligible for parole after serving 20 years behind bars. Grace Tame has revealed she has been subjected to open threats and harassment online, allegedly coming from the school teacher who sexually abused her. Twitter has since removed the account in which Ms Tame says he referenced her by a childhood email address. Tasmania Police says Ms Tame has made a complaint about the behaviour of an individual on a social media platform and has been provided with advice. COVID vaccination hubs have closed their doors for the final time as a state-run effort wraps up after a mammoth operation. The completion will see some staff return to the front line after delivering more than 700,000 jabs.
Signalling the beginning of a new chapter in the fight against COVID, healthcare workers celebrate their commitment to a once-in-a-lifetime event.
It actually feels like we're all part of a large family. Certainly some great teamwork, a lot of respect of each other, and lifelong friendships have been developed.
Rolling up sleeves one last time, state vaccination clinics have officially completed their duties.
More than 2,000 clinic days in those locations. We've been mobile, we've got around almost every town, I would say, in the whole of Tasmania.
A milestone task which required hours of preparation behind the scenes.
Including, setting up some clinics in less than 24 hours. But I can tell you they were there at 7 o'clock in the morning, putting up the screens.
With now deemed the right time to step back, it wasn't without battling through the peak of the virus.
We all had the one goal, and that was to get as many people vaccinated as possible. It certainly was, there have been lots of stressful times.
Despite the state program winding down, Tasmanians will be able to access the COVID and flu jabs elsewhere, with GPs and pharmacies still participating in the rollout.
It's time to hand back to primary care, to the GPs and pharmacies, because they now have the capacity to finish the job.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmanian News.
Tasmanian pubs and restaurants will be able to access grants of up to $5,000 in a scheme to spruce up venues around the state and help owners buy new equipment or entertainment. Up to $750,000 in grants will be served under the plan. Scottsdale's Lord's Hotel will be one of the first to apply after a tough time during COVID.
Every little bit helps, so and like a lot of other pubs and clubs, you go through your bad times.
It can be as simple as a paint facelift for an establishment. It can be a new mode of operating, so hiring of musicians to diversify the offering.
Venues will be required to show what investments they make with the money. Labor is blaming the slow rollout of the statewide planning scheme for a drop in the number of building approvals. ABS data shows housing approvals in the year prior to June 2022 were down 24% on the previous year.
We are hearing regularly from people who want to be able to do that, want to be able to help contribute to the supply of housing, and the planning system is stopping them from doing that.
A 2014 election promise, the statewide scheme is only operational in 14 of 29 councils. Though lower than last year, the number of approvals is consistent with the 5 years prior. Dozens of islanders are taking a stand against fish farms surrounding Flinders. They held a last-minute community meeting last night after hearing the state government's 10-year fin fish plan. Waters around Flinders Island and the Furneaux Group were identified as potential locations. More than 100 people attended and passed a motion for the council to make a submission opposing fish farming on behalf of the whole community.
We will continue to badger and harass our politicians and make it quite clear that salmon farming is not going to be welcome in the Furneaux Group.
State government says it will consider feedback from the community as part of the plan's consultation. The state's final roundtable has been held in Launceston ahead of the Albanese government's Jobs and Skills Summit in Canberra this week. Around 50 local community groups attended today's meeting, along with Federal Minister Stephen Jones.
For most of the last decade, the big challenge we've had in Tasmania and elsewhere is that we've had too many workers and not enough jobs. We've got the reverse of that challenge now. We've got a skills crisis.
The event aims to identify ways to attract staff to jobs across the board, including health and housing. Community Care Tasmania pitching its plan for a respite and training centre of excellence to address the shortfall in workers.
To start building our respite and training centre, which will help not only Community Care Tasmania but all of the other providers in the north of the state, both NDIS and home care, to get the support workers that they need.
Centre has building approval but is still waiting for Labor's $2.8 million election promise to get it off the ground. Tasmania Police say it's getting harder to bring illicit drugs into the state because of an increase into reports to Crime Stoppers. This week, the organisation targeting our gateways.
Cracking down on illicit drugs.
Preventing them coming into Tasmania by either air, sea, post or courier, and calling on all Tasmanians to play their part in stopping it.
The state's gateway is the focus for this year's Crime Stoppers Week.
A significant quantity of the illicit drugs certainly do come through the gateways, just due to the nature of Tasmania being surrounded by water.
As part of the relationship that we have with the Launceston Airport and Tasmania Police, we are conducting some campaign awareness systems within the airport itself by putting displays up for the travellers and the public to raise their awareness.
The airport also working with authorities but encouraging the public to do their bit too.
Travellers should be always vigilant. They should be personally vigilant of their own surrounds. They should be looking to see if there's anything that just seems a little bit unusual.
Strong messages for those planning on doing the wrong thing.
If you do plan on bringing drugs into Tasmania, you certainly will be targeted by Tasmania Police.
Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Working on an Australian Antarctic base is one of the most remote jobs you can do, with access to healthcare limited by distance. Over the past 2 weeks, Hobart has played host to a group of tradespeople heading south, teaching them medical skills which could help save lives.
It's a scene that looks like any operating room, surgeons working away on a case of appendicitis. But these nurses are not who you think they are. These plumbers, riggers and carpenters are all being trained to provide support on Australia's Antarctic bases.
If surgery is required, which is a rare event, but if it is required, then there are some trained assistants.
We would usually have no business as tradesmen coming in and observing these kind of things, and to get this level of training is really significant.
The Lay Surgical Assistance Program is run in Hobart every year. The 2-week course trains expeditioners in anaesthetic and general theatre nursing, supporting the station doctor if surgery is needed.
You can't have enough pairs of hands to do all the jobs required. We don't have any nursing staff or LA health professionals down there.
The first 3 days are theory-based before they work with experienced mentors. At the end of their studies, the trainees have a chance to practice what they've learned.
We've really taken the time to make sure that they feel empowered to speak up.
And really helpful if something goes wrong, you get to see things you would never see.
The group's performance receiving a clean bill of health.
I'm really happy that I'm going down with such a high level of skill with my LSAs this year.
A few able to see similarities between surgery and their job.
The body's just got like a circulating system like water, and it's got a waste system and it's got a ventilation system, all the things that we work on.
Really just a look out for the possibilities of anything happening down there, really.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian art exhibition is thinking outside the box by placing artwork inside a box. Art Box is the latest public gallery to reach Launceston, showcasing water features around the state. Artist Sarah Rhodes focused on a silt puddle inspired by the Mount Lyell mine in Queenstown.
We're looking at how the landscape influences the psychology of the people living in the place.
And one way to highlight the talent that we have in our beautiful city.
10 artists are part of the gallery. Tasmanian school children have come face to face with Australian chef royalty during a cooking class to remember. Stephanie Alexander's Kitchen Garden program is shining a light on food education while fostering healthy eating habits at Princess Street Primary. A partnership with one of the state's biggest supermarkets is now helping to support the initiative into the future.
Going into any Coles store can choose to pick up a $2 card and the proceeds will go to a local school. So that's a very lovely way of people being able to contribute to what we do.
They learn how to cook and take care of themselves. They're giving themselves something healthy and nourishing, but they share, they communicate, they work as a team.
All of the money raised will go towards purchasing gardening tools and infrastructure for local schools.
The Hobart Hurricanes bowling stocks have been boosted with Billy Stanlake signing on after first becoming a Tasmanian Tiger. The addition of the wicket taker leaves just one spot left on the list, which could be filled by former Test captain Tame.
A big signing in more ways than one. He's bowled! After being sidelined with injury for 15 months, Billy Stanlake is looking to jumpstart his career with the Hurricanes.
Been fortunate enough to experience quite a lot of white ball cricket around the world, so hopefully I can learn from the other boys and hopefully impose my little bit of learning.
Ending his contract a year early with the Melbourne Stars, the 204-centimetre powerhouse will be based all summer in Tasmania. Stanlake averages just 20 with the ball in 19 international T20 matches and has experience in Big Bash, IPL and English cricket. He's hoping to add a new dimension to an attack that includes Riley Meredith and Nathan Ellis.
Obviously with my height and bounce, I think we can really feed each other really well. Obviously I think we've all got sort of a little bit different skill sets as a bowling group.
6 foot
15 or whatever he might be, bowls like the wind. Wonderful short form or white ball bowler.
Today's signing plus Sunday's international player draft has the coach excited.
We've got lots of options now. We can adjust our team accordingly. We've got pace and bounce and left arm, right arm, swing bowling.
There's just one spot left to fill on the Canes list. Tim Payne's name continues to be linked with Hobart, but the coach is coy on the potential of that happening.
Good physically, good emotionally. So, look, there's a chance, but he'll be one of a number of players that we'll look at.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Tassie Tiger Elise Vilani has launched the Trent Rockets into the hundreds elimination final.
Chance, it's over the top, all the way for Elise Vilani. Picks up a 6.
An unbeaten 55, boasting 8 fours, helped Trent brush aside the Welsh fire. She also starred in the field, taking 2 catches, including one which dismissed her Tigers teammate Nicola Carey. Vilani had recently been named captain of the Rockets. Premier League hockey finals get underway this week, with one of the competition's powerhouses unusually going in as an underdog. The Northwest Graduates men's side left it late to book their finals berth, defeating Diamondbacks 4-1 in their final regular season game. They then watched on as Canterbury beat OHA, ensuring the Grads finished in the top 4. They'll face University in an elimination final, a team they're yet to beat this year.
Definitely shutting down their penalty corners. They've got one of the most lethal penalty corner flickers in Ben Reid, so if we can basically stop him, I think that'll put us in a pretty good spot.
That match begins at 2:15 on Saturday. And a Tasmanian has broken the national parkrun record. Launceston's James Hansen finished the 5-kilometre course in 13 minutes and 53 seconds, 9 seconds faster than the previous best. His next goal is topping the decade-old global parkrun record. For that, he'll need to shave another 5 seconds off his time. That's a parkrun time I'm sure we can only dream of, Kim.
You're not far behind though, Tom, I know that.
A long way back.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good evening. Hobart and Launceston 14 today. Burnie and Devonport 17, and 17 was as warm as it got, a big drop from yesterday. Smithton, Lowhead, St Helens, Friendly Beaches and King Island all 15. Flinders Island and Strawn 14 degrees. Niggly showers today over a wide area of the state, from all this cloud spiralling around the low to the east of Tasmania. A large area of cloud is also over southeastern Australia, a band also extending over Queensland and northeast New South Wales. High-level clouds streamed over parts of WA. Tomorrow a cold front approaches us. A weak ridge of high pressure remains over southern parts of the mainland. Troughs over central and northern Australia. Winds west-northwesterly, 20 to 30 knots, reaching 35 knots in the evening over the southwest. We have a gale warning that's been issued for waters between Southeast Cape and Low Rocky Point. A strong wind warning for all remaining Tasmanian coastal waters. Hobart 16 tomorrow and partly cloudy, a shower for Geefston 15 the high, 15 also for Bothwell, 4 overnight. 5 to 16 the range for Launceston with a shower or 2 developing, partly cloudy for Devonport. It's 15 tomorrow, 16 the top for Cressy. Burnie a high of 15 degrees and showery for Strawn 14, Curry on King Island a top of 14 as well. 16 the high for St Helens, Swansea partly cloudy and 17, same for Orford. On Thursday, the spring rains will be here, right on time and right across the state. Showers on Friday, mostly through Bass Strait, along with the west and south. And on Saturdays, you might be forgiven if you think winter is back, temperatures just creeping into the low teens. Further north, sunny and 22 in Perth, a cloudy 15 for Adelaide, partly cloudy in Melbourne and Canberra, a shower for Sydney and showers up along the Queensland coast. Bit of cloud around, 12 degrees in Hobart, 12 in Launceston, partly cloudy and 12 in Devonport. The topsy-turvy weather continues. Kim, every morning it's getting harder for me to figure out if I should wear briefs, boxers or long johns.
I don't mind what you wear. I don't care at all. Thanks, Smurf.